The gleaming glass facade of Chen Tower reflected the morning sun as I approached the main entrance, my modest business attire a stark contrast to the luxury cars pulling into the VIP parking. For 3 years, I'd watched my stepfamily flaunt their supposed ownership of this building while relegating me to the service entrance. "Miss Chen," my assistant Michael texted, "closing documents confirmed. The property transfer is complete. Security protocols updated." I touched the old brass key my father had given me before his death, his final gift that my stepfamily had dismissed as worthless. Today Katherine Chen, the stepdaughter they'd forced to use the back doors of her own building, would reveal herself as the true owner of not just Chen Tower, but the entire Chen Real Estate Empire. "Hey!" A familiar condescending voice cut through my thoughts. My stepbrother James Chen, self-proclaimed executive director of operations, strutted toward me in his designer suit. "How many times do we have to tell you? Staff uses the service entrance." If they'd bothered to verify their own company's ownership structure, they might have noticed that the worthless shell companies my father had left me were actually the controlling entities of Chen Properties. That their lavish offices were technically being leased from my companies. That their comfortable positions were about to become very uncomfortable. "Of course," I smiled, noting how my calm seemed to irritate him. "My mistake." As I turned toward the back of the building, I heard James's carrying whisper to his assistant. "Can you believe she still thinks she has rights to Dad's company? Thank God Mother convinced the board she was incompetent. 3 years ago such casual cruelty would have stung. But that was before I'd spent those years quietly consolidating my ownership, before I'd systematically verified every property title, before I'd positioned myself to reclaim what was rightfully mine." Through the reflection in the glass I saw Mr. Zhang, the building manager, rushing toward us with an urgent expression. My team had timed this perfectly. "Miss Chen," Mr. Zhang called out, slightly out of breath. "I've been trying to reach you about urgent property matters that require the owner's immediate attention." James's smirk froze. "I handle all property matters for Chen Properties. You should know that by now." Mr. Zhang bowed slightly in my direction, ignoring James completely. "My apologies, ma'am, but these documents require the legal owner's signature. We've verified the property titles and—" "What are you talking about?" James interrupted. "I'm the executive director. All property decisions go through me." "Actually," I spoke softly, producing a leather portfolio, "they go through me. Would you like to see the ownership documents?" The security pass slipped from James's manicured hands, clattering on the marble floor as reality began to sink in. "This is ridiculous," he sputtered. "We own Chen Tower. The entire Chen Properties portfolio. Mother made sure of it after Dad died." I smiled, channeling years of patience into this moment. Did she? Or did she just assume control without actually checking the property titles? Mr. Zhang produced more documents, his expression professional but satisfied. "All properties are registered to companies controlled by Ms. Katherine Chen. This has been verified by our legal team." "That's impossible," James's voice cracked. "You're nobody. Just Dad's mistake from his first marriage." I opened the portfolio, revealing decades of carefully preserved documents. "Actually, dear stepbrother, I'm your landlord. And your rent is significantly overdue." The lobby had grown quiet, the morning crowd of executives and assistants watching the scene unfold. The polished marble floors reflected their stunned expressions as their understanding of power in Chen Tower shifted dramatically. "When Dad died," I addressed James directly, "your mother convinced everyone I was too young, too naive to handle business matters. That the company would be better off in your family's experienced hands." The screens in the lobby began displaying property records, years of ownership documents that my team had meticulously compiled. 3 years later," I continued, "Chen Properties has lost market share, property values have dropped, and somehow your family has managed to acquire multiple personal estates using company funds. Interesting management style." The morning sun now streamed fully through Chen Tower's glass facade, casting harsh shadows across James's increasingly pale face. The lobby's usual bustle had frozen into a tableau of suspended disbelief as decades of assumed ownership crumbled. "Michael," I nodded to my assistant who appeared with additional files. "Show Mr. Chen the complete audit of company resources under their management." "This is corporate theft," James declared, trying to maintain his authority even as his world tilted. Security. About that, I smiled, producing another document. The security contract was just transferred to a new provider. Effective immediately. The lobby's security team was already being replaced by my own personnel, their professional demeanor a stark contrast to the previous guards who had so often denied me entry to my own building. Miss Chen, Michael announced clearly, the forensic accountants have completed their preliminary review of the company's finances under the current management. Several employees gasped as the lobby screens displayed years of financial mismanagement, properties undervalued, maintenance neglected, profits diverted to personal accounts. But your position here, James stammered. We've watched you work as a junior property manager, doing basic maintenance rounds. Basic maintenance rounds that gave me access to every floor, every office, every document you thought was securely hidden, I corrected him. Did you never wonder why someone with a master's in real estate development would accept such a menial role? The elevator dinged and my stepmother Victoria Chen emerged, her Hermes bag swinging as she strode toward us. James darling, why are you talking to the help? We have the board meeting in 10 minutes. Actually, I interjected smoothly, the board meeting has been rescheduled and relocated to the owner's conference room. Victoria froze, her perfectly Botoxed face struggling to show surprise. Owner's conference room? What nonsense is this? Michael activated more displays, showing the complete ownership structure of Chen Properties. Each shell company, each holding entity, each property title leading back to one name, Katherine Chen. You see, I continued as Victoria's designer heels stumbled slightly, while you were busy redecorating offices and hosting charity galas, I was conducting a rather thorough review of our corporate structure. Our lawyers, Victoria began, have already received the complete documentation, I finished. They're probably still trying to understand how you managed to operate for 3 years without verifying basic property ownership. James found his voice again. But Dad's will. He left everything to Mother. Did he? I raised an eyebrow, producing my father's original estate documents. Or did someone create that impression while conveniently ignoring the actual property titles? The lobby screens now showed surveillance footage, years of systematic neglect, unauthorized property sales, and financial misconduct under their management. When Dad gave me this key, I held up the brass key they'd mocked. You all laughed. Called it worthless. Did none of you ever wonder what it opened? Victoria's expensive makeup couldn't hide her growing alarm. A key? What does a key have to do with anything? I smiled, remembering my father's last words. Keep it safe, Catherine. The key to the kingdom isn't always a crown. This key, I explained, opens a safe deposit box. One containing every original property deed, every ownership document, every corporate record your family claimed was lost after Dad's death. The color drained from Victoria's face as understanding dawned. Those records were destroyed in the office fire. The convenient fire that started in the records room? I asked pleasantly. Dad believed in backups and proper property registration. The morning that had started with me being directed to the service entrance was transforming into a masterclass in true ownership. The Chen Tower lobby, usually a stage for my stepfamily's daily display of authority, had become the theater of their undoing. Michael, I nodded to my assistant, please escort our security team to begin their building-wide audit. Victoria's perfect composure cracked as uniformed professionals began methodically moving through the tower. You can't just walk in here and... Actually, I can, I interrupted smoothly. Would you like to see the property insurance policies? The ones listing me as the primary owner and beneficiary. The lobby screens continued displaying damning evidence, years of financial records showing how they'd treated my father's legacy as their personal piggy bank. Miss Chen, Michael announced, the full property portfolio review is ready. Even James, with his inflated sense of entitlement, seemed to shrink as the screens showed the true scope of Chen Properties' empire, and their systematic mismanagement of it. While you were busy playing real estate royalty, I addressed them both. I was learning every aspect of property management. Every maintenance check, every tenant complaint, every building code violation you ignored. Victoria clutched her designer bag like a shield. The board won't stand for this. We have agreements. With whom? I smiled. The board members you appointed without proper authority? The executives who've been questioning your management decisions for years. Michael produced more documents, tenant complaints, maintenance reports, and financial discrepancies that painted a damning picture of their stewardship. Your father, Victoria spat, never understood modern business. His old-fashioned ideas about property management. Built this company, I finished. The same company you've been slowly destroying. Shall we discuss the maintenance budgets you diverted to your personal renovations? Or the security deposits you've been reallocating? The morning crowd of employees had grown, watching their world shift with each revelation. Years of forced deference to the Chen family's arrogance were dissolving in real time. When you relegated me to basic maintenance work, I continued, did you think I wouldn't notice the corners you were cutting? The safety regulations you were ignoring? The tenants you were exploiting? James, his designer suit suddenly seeming like a costume, made one last attempt. The property values have increased under our management. Have they? I gestured to Michael, who brought up market comparisons. Or have you been cooking the books while actual property values plummeted? The screens showed the stark reality: declining occupancy rates, mounting maintenance issues, and plunging property values under their leadership. Your father's death, I addressed Victoria directly, was convenient for you, wasn't it? No one to question your methods. No one to protect his legacy. No one except the daughter you thought you'd sidelined. Victoria's face went pale. Are you suggesting that the accidental fall from his office balcony might not have been accidental? I produced another file. The police would be very interested in the maintenance records from that day. The ones showing the balcony railing had been deliberately loosened. The lobby fell silent as the implications sank in. Several longtime employees who'd known my father stepped away from Victoria and James. You can't prove anything, Victoria whispered, but her eyes darted toward the exits. Actually, I smiled grimly, I can prove everything. Every decision, every manipulation, every crime you thought was buried in paperwork. Michael stepped forward. The authorities have been notified. They're waiting in the owner's office. James finally broke. Mother, what did you do? What was necessary? Victoria snapped. Your father was going to restructure the company. Return control to Katherine. We would have lost everything. Instead, I stated quietly, you lost something far more valuable than property. You lost integrity. Basic human decency. The morning sun now filled the lobby completely, leaving no shadows for them to hide in. Their carefully constructed facade of ownership and authority had crumbled in less than an hour. Security, I called out, please escort Mrs. Chen and her son to the owner's office. The police have some questions about building maintenance records. As they were led away, Victoria turned back one last time. You'll regret this. The company will suffer. No, I touched my father's key. The company suffered under your management. Now it's time for restoration. Real restoration, not just cosmetic fixes. The lobby slowly returned to life, but with a different energy. Employees straightened their shoulders, meeting my eyes with respect rather than forced deference. Michael, I called out, schedule a company-wide meeting. It's time everyone understood what real property management looks like. The key felt warm in my hand, its worn brass a testament to years of patient waiting. The service entrance that had been my designated path for 3 years would now become a symbol of how far the mighty could fall. Your father would be proud, Mr. Zhang said quietly, gathering his maintenance reports. Not just of what you've reclaimed, but of how you did it. I looked up at Chen Tower, its glass facade reflecting the morning sun. The best ownership isn't about power, I murmured. It's about responsibility. The lobby that had so often witnessed my humiliation now stood as a testament to justice delayed but not denied. The stepdaughter they tried to relegate to the background had become the owner who would restore her father's vision. Michael, I called out one last time, start the building inspections. It's time Chen Tower remembered what real care looks like. The old brass key caught the light as I headed toward the owner's office. Its simple form a reminder that true authority doesn't need grand displays. It simply needs to be rightfully exercised. The afternoon brought a flurry of activity as the true scope of my stepfamily's mismanagement came to light. As I sat in my father's old office, now rightfully mine, Michael brought in another stack of concerning reports. Miss Chen, we've uncovered something disturbing in the sub-basement archives, he said, placing a worn ledger on my desk. It appears your stepmother had a separate set of books for certain premium properties. I opened the ledger, my heart sinking as I recognized the pattern. Money laundering? On a massive scale, Michael confirmed. They were using our luxury developments to clean funds for several questionable organizations. The intercom buzzed. Ms. Chen, the FBI Financial Crimes Unit is here. Send them up, I replied, then turned to Michael. Have we secured all the digital records? Yes, and we found something else. There are emails suggesting Victoria knew about the loose balcony railing before your father's fall. She specifically instructed maintenance to delay the repair. My hand tightened around my father's key. Get those emails to the detective handling Dad's case. It's time to reopen the investigation. The afternoon wore on as federal agents combed through records and interviewed staff. Each hour brought new revelations of how deeply Victoria and James had corrupted my father's legacy. Katherine, a familiar voice called from the doorway. I looked up to see Mr. Lee, my father's oldest friend and former legal counsel. I should have seen it sooner. The way they pushed you aside. I'm so sorry. You're not the one who needs to apologize, I assured him. But I could use your help now. We need to rebuild the company's legal framework. Do it right this time. He nodded, understanding the magnitude of the task ahead. Your father always said you had his eye for detail and your mother's steel spine. He knew exactly what he was doing when he set up those shell companies in your name.